last year, Hit Row was brought back to WWE by Triple H, but the faction hasn't been doing well at all as part of the Smackdown roster. Not only are the group losing, but Hit Row lasted mere seconds during the tag team gauntlet match during the latest Smackdown, and now we know why. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that Top Dolla has heat with some names backstage in WWE and is not very popular behind the scenes. While we don't know who exactly has issues with Top Dolla, it was said that he has some enemies on the creative team and described what happened on SmackDown as the burial of all burials. While Top Dolla is the one who has backstage heat, the rest of Hit Row are suffering as a result, with neither Ashanti Adonis or B-Fab getting close to a push. Since returning, the most notable thing Top Dolla has done is botched a dive over the top rope, and whatever comes next, don't expect many, if any, wins for the faction for the time being. But what do you make of the burial of Top Dolla and Hit Row? Do you wish WWE would treat him, and therefore the faction, differently? Make sure to sound off in the comments down below. Years ago, Velveteen Dream was one of the hottest commodities in NXT, but fans would never see what he could do on the main roster. Dream was accused of having inappropriate conversations with minors, and though a WWE investigation found no evidence of this, one of his accusers claimed WWE never reached out to him. Despite WWE concluding their investigation, Dream was released in May 2021, but his return to the company nearly happened very recently. BWE reports that WWE was very close to rehiring him last year before more controversies surrounding Dream sprang up, which include being arrested twice in Florida last August. Dream was charged with first-degree battery and trespassing, though those charges were dropped the next month, and he's currently facing charges of possession of drugs and drug paraphernalia. While WWE has brought back controversial names in the past, it appears that Velveteen Dream's run is well and truly over, as the promotion realizes the significant backlash that rehiring him would bring. Now, the last we saw of Bobby Lashley on TV, he was competing in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament and got to the semifinals before losing to AJ Styles. 2023 has been a mixed year for the Almighty, who started off by rekindling his feud with Brock Lesnar, but his feud with Bray Wyatt was cancelled, and now Lashley is starting anew. This past weekend, Lashley made his return to the ring for the first time in over a month at a WWE live event where he faced and defeated Karrion Kross. While Lashley hasn't been on TV, he recently took to Instagram to tease that he wants a program with Roman Reigns, who has had his hands full with the Bloodline and the Usos as of late. Lashley was moved to SmackDown in the recent draft, but has done little on the blue brand so far. And what do you hope to see from the Almighty now that he's back in the ring? CM Punk, now as the self-proclaimed voice of the voiceless, had a lot to say during AEW Collision and didn't hold back when speaking about other wrestlers. During his promo, Punk said that the only thing he's sorry for is that the wrestlers fans like are very soft, which has understandably ruffled a few feathers among the roster. Speaking about Punk on Twitter, Lance Archer made it clear that he is anything but soft and took aim at Punk himself, saying, "I'm not soft, but he won't fight me and AEW won't put me in the ring with him." Some have found the line from Punk ironic, given that the issues that led to All Out started with Punk refusing to move on from an off-the-cuff line by Hangman Page from 4 months earlier, which many have claimed show how soft Punk actually is. It's not just the Murder Hawk Monster who has weighed in on Punk's promo, as during Collision, Punk spoke about being labeled One Bill Phil by Warner Bros. Discovery CEO due to his authenticity. Punk said that he is genuine in an industry full of counterfeit bucks, which led the Young Bucks to take to Twitter to say that 5 years ago, they'd already have a counterfeit Bucks shirt for sale. Punk and the Elite are unlikely to face off at least anytime soon in AEW, but would you like to see Punk face Lance Archer? And what do you make of Punk's comments about folks on AEW's roster being soft? Back to WWE, and since arriving on the main roster, LA Knight has proven to be a hit with fans, but his popularity hasn't translated into all that many victories. Knight, one of the most naturally over stars on SmackDown, has lost the majority of his matches in 2023, raising questions as to just how exactly WWE perceives the former Impact World Champion. While speaking on Busted Open Radio, Mark Henry discussed WWE's booking of Knight and said that it sucks that WWE thinks they don't need to bother with someone who is naturally getting over. Henry said that Knight really needs to start speaking backstage about getting a push, and even encouraged the 40-year-old star to avoid trying to renew his contract and let WWE come to him. While Knight hasn't been winning all that much, that may be about to change as he is in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, a match that Knight is the favorite to win. Knight was the favorite to leave London with the briefcase even before he was announced for the match, and time will tell if his career gets taken to the next level as Henry hopes to see in London. On last week's SmackDown, the Bloodline officially imploded when the Usos refused to take order from Roman Reigns anymore and leveled both Reigns and Solo Sikoa with a series of super kicks. As previously covered, Reigns was well and truly stunned by what transpired after SmackDown went off the air, but he has now broken his silence. In a rare WWE live event appearance, Reigns defended the undisputed WWE Universal Championship against Rey Mysterio, and post-match declared that the Cincinnati crowd should acknowledge him. Reigns didn't reference Jimmy or Jay, but he is clearly furious about what happened, and will look to teach his cousins a painful lesson as part of the Bloodline Civil War match at Money in the Bank. At AEW Collision, Andrade El Idolo made his return to action with a big win over Trios champion Buddy Matthews, and picked up the win in a very interesting way. Andrade made Matthews tap out to the figure 8, the move used by his wife Charlotte Flair in WWE, and both she and her father have taken notice. On Twitter, Charlotte was beaming with pride over her husband's win, and even used the AEW Collision hashtag, something that fans were surprised to see. In a tweet of his own, Ric Flair declared the match between Andrade and Buddy Matthews the best match he's seen in a year, not to include his daughter, and congratulated both men on their performance. There was a time last year when it seemed like Andrade wanted to be fired by AEW so he could go to WWE, but that didn't happen, and now the former NXT champion is expected to be a regular part of AEW Collision. Collision featured many interesting names appear across the first 2 hours of programming in the show's history, but there were plenty of interesting names also working behind the scenes. Prior to the show going live, it was reported that wrestling veteran Chris Hero was around for the very first episode of AEW Collision, and what exactly was the Knockout Artist doing? Despite being at AEW Collision, PW Insider reports that Hero was backstage producing matches for Ring of Honor, including the Chicago Street Fight that closed the latest taping. It was added that Hero will be around for a few weeks after being suggested as a potential addition to the AEW production team, but he is not officially with the company just yet. With decades of experience across many companies, Hero brings a lot to the table as a producer and has recently been working as the matchmaker for West Coast Pro Wrestling. In the 15 months since Tony Khan announced his purchase of ROH, there's been major moves for the veteran promotion, and it appears that Chris Hero could indeed be a part of Ring of Honor's future, albeit in a backstage role. And we're ending today with some legal news, as Ted DiBiase Jr. is facing serious charges stemming from the biggest welfare fraud case in Mississippi history, and could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted. It is alleged that DiBiase was part of a group that embezzled millions of dollars in funds reserved for needy families for their own personal gain, but his future won't be clear just yet. PW Insider reports that DiBiase's trial, which was scheduled to begin today, has been delayed at the request of the Mississippi government. The court record reads, "The discovery in this case is extensive, and additional time is needed by both sides to review the case and to prepare for trial or negotiate a plea. The government submits that the ends of justice that will be served by taking such an action outweigh the best interests of the public and the defendant in a speedy trial." DiBiase's brother Brett DiBiase has already pled guilty to conspiracy to defraud the United States, and their father Ted Sr. recently claimed that the investigation was total garbage. Ted DiBiase Jr. never reached the same heights as his father or legacy allies Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, and is facing some serious consequences if convicted, and we'll follow his case for further updates.